They dragged my daughter out of her car in broad daylight, two men in black polos that said, Lakeside Compliance Unit. Fake badges, real zip ties. No masks, no hesitation, just entitlement. That was the moment I stopped believing we were safe. That was the moment the neighborhood I trusted became my battlefield. It had started like any perfect morning in suburbia, the kind that tricks you into thinking peace is normal. Sprinklers, ticking coffee, brewing sun cutting through the blinds just right. I'd been home on leave for a week 20 years as a Navy SEAL and still trying to remember what normal was supposed to feel like. My daughter Mia had just earned the right to drive herself to school. 15, smart full of fire, half my temper, twice her mother's heart. She stood in the kitchen that morning, hair still damp, backpack half zipped, grinning as I tossed her the keys. "Got the AirTag?" I asked. She rolled her eyes. "Yes, Dad." I laughed. "Good, but you're still mine." That's the last time I heard her laugh that morning. At 7:12, her little sedan backed out of the driveway. At 7:19, her location froze on my phone. Lakeside Park entrance, and then disappeared. 40 minutes later, the school called. Mr. Roar Mia hasn't signed in yet. My hand went cold around the mug. I opened the security feed and saw it, a white SUV, rolling past the park gate. No plates. Two men stepping out, both wearing those black shirts. Lakeside Compliance Unit. HOA Security, I thought. But something in my gut said otherwise. By the time I reached the park, the world still looked normal: families walking dogs, joggers, laughter. It was almost insulting. Two men sat by the gate with a golf cart labeled HOA Security. I pulled up hard beside them. "You see a white SUV come through here. 15-year-old girl, brown hair, navy jacket." They glanced at each other, calm as ever. "Might have been Lakeside Compliance," one said. "They do rounds." "Rounds?" I asked. "You detain minors now." He shrugged. "Sir, you need to calm down." I stepped closer. "You're gonna wish I didn't ask twice." They gave up a direction: backlot maintenance road. That's where I found Mia's backpack. Torn strap phone, cracked, still warm. The recording app was running. I hit play. Compliant individual secured. Copy that. Transport to holding site. My pulse didn't rise. Training keeps it steady. Panic wastes time. But something inside me went cold, like steel hardening. Whoever they weren't cops. They weren't even licensed. They were ghosts with HOA paperwork and a god complex. I called the sheriff's office. No official units, no private contracts in the area. So who the hell gave them the right? That's when I said it out loud to no one. "You picked the wrong child." I drove to the HOA gate next. Same SUVs, same uniforms. I walked straight to them. "My daughter was taken this morning by men wearing your shirts." They shifted uneasily until their boss stepped out from the prefab shed. Randall Bishop. Late 50s, slick hair, mirrored sunglasses, blue button-down that screamed fake authority. "Everything all right here?" he asked. "Who are you?" I said. "Randall Bishop, Director of Compliance for Lakeside Estates." He smiled like this was a customer complaint. "I'm looking for my daughter," I told him. "Taken by men wearing your insignia." "That's unfortunate," he said smoothly. "But I assure you, our officers don't." "Your officers?" I cut in. "You just admitted they exist." He hesitated, then recovered. "They operate under a community contract. If they acted outside policy, we'll review it." "Where's your contract filed?" I asked. "Excuse me. Your legal license to detain civilians. Where is it?" His smirk twitched. "Sir, you're on private property. I'll have to ask you to leave before this becomes a problem." "It already is," I said. He turned to his guards. "Get his plate number." The shorter one pulled out his phone. I moved before he could blink, twisted, his wrist slammed him into the post. The phone hit the ground. The other guard lunged. I flipped him hard onto the gravel. Bishop stepped back, shouting, "You just assaulted my personnel." I pulled out my phone, hit record, aimed it at his face. "Say that again?" He froze. "You're making a mistake, Mr. Roar." "No," I said. I'm correcting one. By noon, the HOA website had turned me into a domestic threat. Every house got a letter calling me unstable and dangerous. The school even locked down. That's when I started to doubt myself. Maybe I was losing it. Maybe trauma had warped how I saw things. I'd fought real wars overseas. Maybe I'd brought that fight home where it didn't belong. But then the phone buzzed Deputy Marcus Hale. He'd seen the footage I sent. "That's not law enforcement gear," he said. "No, but it's meant to look like it." That one line snapped me back. No, I wasn't crazy. The system was. That night I met my old teammate Brett Lawson, now with the State Bureau. He traced the SUV through traffic feeds. It vanished near the industrial park east of the subdivision. Abandoned warehouses. Perfect for people who don't want to be found. I didn't hesitate. Grabbed my sidearm flashlight notebook. Old habits. The place reeked of bleach and oil. Too clean. Fresh padlock on the gate cameras at every corner. I slipped past one using a laser pointer to freeze the lens. Inside one of the trailers, two men were talking. Bishop wants them moved tonight. The girl still quiet. Yeah, but check her again before transport. My stomach turned to lead. Her. I cracked the keypad lock, slipped inside. Filing cabinets, maps, folders labeled Resident Compliance Risk. Mia's name marked pending transfer. I took photos of everything. Then footsteps. Two men entered. I took down the first, silently disarmed the second, and pinned him to the wall. "Where is she?" he gasped. "South trailer. Second unit." Outside floodlights flared to life. Bishop's voice boomed from a loudspeaker. "Mr. Rohr, you're trespassing. Leave now, and maybe this stays between us." I didn't move. "You should have left my family between you," I muttered, and fired one round, shattering the nearest light. Darkness dropped like a curtain. I sprinted toward the south trailer. Two guards, both jittery. I grabbed one from behind, dropped him silently. The second, fired, missed. I hit him once he went down. Inside the trailer, the air stank of metal and fear. One cage still closed. Inside it, Mia. Her eyes met mine wide but unbroken. "Dad, I'm here." I cut the zip ties, pulled her into my arms. For 1 second, everything stopped. Then the shouts started. "Move in. He's got the girl floodlights again." Bishop shouting orders, "Secure the perimeter." Bullets punched through the siding. I dragged Mia behind me, found a rusted crowbar, and tore open the back wall. "Go," I yelled. She crawled through the hole and rolled into the dirt outside. I followed, barely missing another shot. We ran for the fence. A guard stepped out from behind a truck, rifle raised. Too close. I slammed into him, ripped the weapon free, dropped him cold. Mia was halfway up the fence when I heard Bishop. "You don't know what you're doing, Rohr." "This isn't what it looks like." I turned, aimed. "Then you picked the wrong lighting." He fired. Missed. I didn't. My shot shattered his wrist. He screamed, dropped the gun, fell to one knee. I walked toward him, steady, every breath controlled. "Where are the others, Bishop?" he sneered. "You think this ends with me?" I pressed the barrel to his temple. "No, it starts with you." Behind me, Mia's voice broke through. "Dad, don't." I lowered the gun. Sirens wailed in the distance, real cops this time. I grabbed her hand and pulled her through the fence. Bishop was still kneeling, cradling his arm, smiling like he'd already won. Because men like him always think paperwork will save them. By the time deputies arrived, the scene was chaos. Bishop bleeding me with a gun, my daughter shaking in a blanket. The headlines wrote themselves. Navy SEAL assaults HOA workers. Bishop played the victim perfectly. A tragic misunderstanding, he told cameras. Our community takes safety seriously. Safety. That word again, his favorite weapon. They cuffed me anyway. Hale saw the look in my eyes, the one that said, "This isn't over." Later, he came to the interrogation room and slid a flash drive across the table. "Body cam from the site?" he whispered. "Shows her in that cage. That was enough to open a case. But Bishop had already filed a restraining order against me, claimed I was unstable. For 3 days, I lay low watching news anchors call me violent, unhinged. The louder the lie, the clearer the truth. With Brett's help, I hacked into the HOA's system, found everything: 5 years of compliance logs, arrest records, surveillance footage. They were profiling residents, tagging kids' parents, anyone who questioned their authority. Each report signed by R. Bishop. And one final document: Sentinel expansion proposal. He wasn't just running one neighborhood, he was franchising fear. 12 more communities lined up. I sent it all to Hale. He didn't hesitate. "This is enough to start a state investigation." "Then start it," I told him, "because I'm done hiding." The next day, Bishop held a press conference. Arm in a sling, crocodile tears ready. "Our enforcement division keeps residents safe," he said, flanked by the same fake cops. But halfway through his speech, every news feed glitched and switched to footage from his own compound. The cages, the maps, his voice giving orders. Compliant individuals secured. Reporters went feral. Within hours, the governor ordered an inquiry. By nightfall, the FBI had sealed the site. Bishop was arrested, unlawful detention impersonating law enforcement conspiracy. His empire of HOA control crumbled overnight. When they let him out in cuffs, he still tried to smile. That's the thing about men like Bishop, they mistake silence for safety, order for justice. But that morning, when they took my daughter, they taught me something no war ever did. Evil doesn't always hide in the dark. Sometimes it waves from a front porch and calls itself the neighborhood watch. And when it does, you don't stay quiet. You make it look back.